Now we are going to discuss Bruner's idea of scaffolding and discovery theory as the third part of constructivism 2. Jerome Bruner is known to be the influential psychologist and one of the key figures in the field of cognitive revolution. But it is his contribution in the field or in the area of education that has earned him great recognition all over. He proposed theory of scaffolding in 1976, and that theory was immensely influenced by Vygotsky's theory of social constructivism, which deals with the culture, society, and social interaction playing a key role in enabling a child or learner to develop his or her knowledge as well as experiences based on this interaction. Bruner believed that scaffolding can be applied across all sectors, for all ages, and for all topics of learning. Scaffolding is basically providing assistance in terms of facilitating learner to move on from different level in terms of acquiring knowledge and developing experiences. Following the concept of zone of proximal development by Vygotsky, Bruner proposed that scaffolding enables a child to minimize the option he/she faces to be focused only on the acquiring of the skill which is required. So when an assistance is provided, and we saw that in this ZPD, that zone in between where a learner having the existing knowledge and wants to move on to the next level, in between, in that zone, the assistance is provided from the teacher or from the peers to facilitate and enable learner to learn. Now this, what Bruner feels, is a very good mechanism whereby a learner is remained focused on the task or on the task which is leading to the acquiring of a particular piece of knowledge. Other stimuli can cause distraction, so a learner needs assistance in that particular phase or in the process of acquiring a new knowledge. So his discovery learning theory, which he published in 1961, has something like this. Let's see how many stages the theory has. It is also referred to as the inquiry cycle. So we see and we wonder. So that's the first stage. You come across an object, you look at it, and then you wonder, you think. Then you explore, you investigate, you discover. Based on that, you share your thinking. So this is interaction. Social aspect is considered here. Based on sharing, you reflect, you ponder. And then based on the reflection, you act, you change, and that is how you come up with the understanding of the object. According to Bruner, learning outcomes should not only consider acquiring of existing knowledge, of concepts, categories, problem-solving procedures, but also the ability to invent these things for oneself. So it's not just the transmission of knowledge, that how you can solve a problem, these are the concepts, these are the categories, their names and all that. Rather, having this knowledge, having these information, one should be able to invent experiences or all these things for oneself. The goal of education should be directed to learning to learn, the ability to pursue that how you are going to learn, that learning, that training, which comes after having the knowledge of time management, how you are going to organize your own learning, what specification or specific way you need to adopt to achieve the desired learning. So learning to learn, education should be directed towards learning to learn, not just imparting of information. Learning modes proposed by Bruner are enactive, iconic, and symbolic. So 3 stages of representation proposed by Bruner in his research on cognitive development. One is enactive, second is iconic, and third stage is symbolic. Now, in an active stage is when you learn through movement or action. So you look at this image and you see a boy playing with a book. In this stage, this is the first stage, and it involves the encoding and storage of information. Just that. As the information the child is receiving, just the storing or encoding of the information. Second is iconic stage, where you learn through images. Looking at the image, the child develops the understanding. This stage involves an internal representation of the external objects, visually in the form of mental image, which is printed on the mind of children. Third stage is symbolic stage, where you learn through abstract symbol. So now words come to form meanings. This is the stage which starts from 7 years and up, when information is stored in the form of code, which is language, or symbols such as language. Each symbol has a fixed relation to something it represents. For example, the word dog is symbolic representation of a single class of animal. From the education perspectives, Bruner proposed concept of spiral curriculum, which means that starting with a complex idea can be taught at a very simplified level first, and it can be revisited later on at a higher or complex level. So it is going stage by stage, where the firstly simple items are introduced, and from there you move on to making the level difficult, and from difficult to complex. Teacher to facilitate rather encourage rote learning. So learning should be there in the form of a process where teacher is facilitating and not encouraging the students to memorize the stuff, and problem solving through inquiry and discovery. To sum up, Jerome Bruner proposed the discovery learning theory, which refers to process of inquiry in terms of engaging children and construction of knowledge for themselves, and introduced 3 stages of cognitive representation, namely inactive, iconic, and symbolic.